All right, hello. Welcome to another episode of Don't Quote Us. My name is Jeremy.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Chad.
And today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that aired just last week. It was nice. There was a lot revealed, so we're just going to go right into it. And we're going to start with the Super Mario Maker 2 reveal, which had been rumored greatly, and I was very happy to actually see it. You know, Nintendo has stopped copyright striking every video that has stuff of theirs in it, and people were saying maybe because Mario Maker 2 is coming, you know, and yes it is. And we got slopes. That's the big thing they showed off a lot. You got new enemies, power-ups, on-off toggles, scrolling blocks, and you can even control the scrolling direction of the screen so that all levels aren't just scrolling to the side. You can actually make it go up and down, which is
like
really
Super
nice.
Mario 3 Pirate levels.
Oh,
correct?
yes, exactly where they're going with that. The level of customization, as Chad mentioned to me earlier today, is just mind-blowing in this one. It's just so surprising to see all the stuff they're adding. It's not just take number one from the Wii U, where, you know, sold great, but the Wii U didn't sell great, but the game sold great. Move it on over to Switch, but they're adding so much to it. And, you know,
I think they had to add to it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to throw it on Switch now, I know a lot of people are actually, I'm not going to say upset, but they have kind of more of an emotional side to, they wanted Super Mario Maker 1 on because there was a lot of a lot of detail, a lot of levels on that. But I think Super Mario Maker 2 is actually going to, again, like you said, add a lot of features that I think are going to be essential to sell it. And then to make sure, because if you put Super Mario Maker 1 on there, you may be like, you know what, I'm good. I played my fill of it, I'm good. But the fact that Super Mario Maker 2 is going to add quite a bit to it, I think is going to be a big selling point. And I think that obviously is going to be one of the big heavy hitters early on.
Oh, it's going to drive the Nintendo Online service that they're lacking right now.
Which we talked about last week. It's
Give me a reason, both of them were saying, and there you go, Nintendo's giving them more of a reason. And that's not to say that the Super Mario Maker 1 levels can't be ported. They may have those available. You know, one thing, though, I would love, if it's not in there, is those information blocks that you can hit. Because people are trying to put text in through the comments, and when they took down whatever that space was where people used to post things, there was the chat tool. When they took that down, all those comments went away. Was
that the Miiverse?
Yes, thank you, the Miiverse, yeah. And so, you know, my suggestion to Nintendo on this is when June gets there, I don't know when it's coming out in June. It is coming out in June, though.
Yep.
Reach out to the Twitch players. Give them early copies so that they can go on and start hyping this game up. Because the people that don't know it because they didn't have a Wii U, you need to get them on board. You need the sales to crank for this. This will drive hardware sales. This is the system driver in 2019, in my opinion, other than...
For the first half. For the first half. And you'll hear more about what I mean by the first half, because at the very end of this, we're going to try to throw a little bit of a synopsis, because we have a lot of games.
Oh, yeah.
And not just games in general of like, because everybody knows indies hit the market very, very quick.
Of course.
We have a full year, so you're going to hear more about that at the very end. So.
Yep. And a couple things we're hopeful for on this, that they said there's a lot more work they're still doing. You know, let me build on the screen. Don't make me take it out in tablet mode and have to do it, you know, like the Wii U where you did it with the gamepad. Yep. Level sets, Chad mentioned.
I would love to see the ability to actually be able to create a set of levels. So you can actually create your own Mario game. You could create World 1 with 4 levels. You can create a set of worlds.
Yes.
That would be fantastic to do that. So it's not just one single level.
And while people have been hypothesizing about it, there's no confirmation but multiplayer. You know, similar to New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, allow me to play 4 people on a level or whatever. You know, that's become a real fun part of Mario, in my opinion. But yes, we are looking greatly forward to this game. I think all 3 of us are on board for that. I've already pre-ordered it. He pre-ordered it.
I have not yet.
But you should. Well, we're going to go on to Fire Emblem, because that was another big game originally set to come out here in March, actually next month. Not happening. Slight delay. We're looking at July or June?
I believe
July.
It was
July this year. Still in this year. But I'm going to let Chad cover this because he's more familiar with the graphic style and what's changing with the series, if anything.
So Fire Emblem is a series with some really deep roots, and it goes way, way back. This is its newest incarnation. Now, I've not played a ton of the Fire Emblem games, but I have played a few. So the things we're going to be seeing in this, you're going to be seeing a deep grid-based tactical strategy RPG. This is going to be very much a Japanese game. It's going to be insanely brutal on its difficulty level, and they are going to have permadeath because the Fire Emblem series has almost always had permadeath. A character, not a main storyline character, but any of your side characters, they can die and they can permanently be gone. You could have worked on that character for 40 hours and they die and they're just gone. Make a new character.
Yeah, you lose all that, and that's what's killed me away from this series.
But there's a lot of elements just from the trailer in there that we were seeing that I really like. This time around, we've got a school system essentially. You're going to be a teacher, and you get to pick from one of these 3 different country houses to train their up and coming probably royalties and nobles. You've got 3 very different fields for that, but also within those school mechanics, it looks like you have the ability to actually pick classes for each of the individual characters. So if you've got a character, you can build. I think, at least from what I'm seeing, you can build up their magical abilities and things of that nature. Again, all I'm saying is what we've got there from that trailer. So please don't quote us.
Yeah, it's a deep game though. All the games are like this, where it's like micromanaging to the extreme.
This is going to have a lot of depth to it. If you are a huge fan of tactical strategy games, this is going to be up your alley.
Yep.
And me and Chad were hypothesizing if they have maybe a hardcore mode where permadeath happens, it auto saves and it removes your cloud backup, so you can't go backwards.
That would be brutal.
That would be extremely brutal.
But it doesn't look like from the trailer that the petting is going to be back. If you didn't play the American version, look up Fire Emblem petting on YouTube, and you used to be able to pet the faces of your constituents, and it doesn't look like they're bringing that back after some criticism that was received. But
well, that never made it into the U.S. version, though.
Yeah, well, for obvious
probably
reasons.
for good reason. Yeah.
But yeah, Fire Emblem, July 2019. Next we move on, Dragon Quest, and we actually had 2 hits from Dragon Quest here.
Yep. And these are big.
Oh yeah, Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is already out on the PS4, but is coming out in the Switch, and I think a lot of people may have waited for the Switch version. I myself didn't. My wife plays it on the PS4, the first one.
And I did as well. Comparatively,
they look about the same.
They looked exactly the same. Yeah. It was hard for me to justify $60.
It's not a deep graphic game.
But it was hard for me to justify the $60 price tag on the Switch when I could get it for $20 on the PS4.
And the launch version with the bonus stuff.
Exactly. So, but as much as I played it and loved it, and I really, really did, I'm going to be waiting for the Switch version for 2. Because portability on that would be nice. And they're incorporating more multiplayer aspects of it. And I know I will probably be coming over here and doing some multiplayer on this with Jeremy's wife. So,
you can say Renee. But was there multiplayer in the first one? I don't think there was any.
Not really. I don't know.
I don't.
Not really.
Yeah, definitively.
Nothing worth this talking about or remembering. It sounds like.
But of course, the big one though isn't Dragon Quest Builders. It's Dragon Quest XI.
Yeah, Echoes of an Elusive Age S Definitive Edition.
Yep.
So remember that name.
Take a breath when you're actually going to start. Otherwise, you might.
Yeah.
But this is huge. I mean, this is core flagship Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a flagship Dragon Warrior game on a Nintendo system.
On a home console.
On a home console, because we did actually.
DS had 8. Or 8 and 7, I think.
Well, but there was one. There was one of them. I think it was 8.
Yeah.
Was exclusively released on the DS. But aside from that, we haven't had a mainline one released on a major home console system in a really, really long time. So this is huge.
What I love about it is, since they already had these assets from the 3DS version of this, which came out already in the PS4, they combine those assets and they're putting out this version where you can switch between the old, Nintendo old style 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever you want to call it, version, or you can go in the open world, Breath of the Wild style for people who haven't played Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior. And then also English and Japanese audio, because at times I cannot stand English voice actors. I don't know why.
Most of the time he can't.
Most of the time I can't. So
and that's all I want. So that's the difference.
And let people. I'm fine with options. Just don't force me into something you don't need to. If you already have the Japanese audio, put it on the cartridge, and I'll be happy. But. Yeah, it looks like a big release. They say when that was coming out. Do you recall?
Summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer of the. Okay. And now moving on to Starlink, which is not, it's not a new game coming out, but a big update, and it's nice because not only can you play now as the rest of Star Fox's crew, you got Falco, Peppy, and Slippy Toad, but you also can battle with Star Wolf's crew. You got races, possibly new planets, we're not sure. All right, now we're going to move on to some quickies, and that's because these are not things that are mind-blowing to us. They're not really first-party things, but they are games that are going to be worth paying attention to and knowing about here in 2019.
They're going to add more depth to the Nintendo Switch. Not
library.
that it doesn't already need it, but these are a step above indie games. Even though we do give a lot of respect, especially on this channel, to indie games, because some of our, in fact, most of our top 5 games of the year, or top 3 games of the year for one of our old videos, a lot were indies. I know mine wasn't everything.
Yep.
So that's starting us off with Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
Switch exclusive.
Number 3.
Number 3. I had a lot of fun when these games were on Xbox 360. I know
here.
Chad and I were talking about this earlier.
I didn't play it.
They're very easy to pick up, very easy to understand, and you have 3 powers, and then you have your ultimate power.
Yep.
And again, it's a great game. If you love Marvel, if you love superheroes, perfect game to play.
A little bit like a Gauntlet Legends or 9 Parchment.
Actually, I'll give you probably a closer example. I would probably equate it more similarly to Diablo.
Okay.
Its play control style and everything you're going to see on there, particularly for Diablo 3, it's very reminiscent of that.
So if you're a Diablo 3 guy and like superheroes, then this would be a good match.
Yep, you're not going to have
There you
you're not going to have the armor grind on that. There's no random item drops.
If you don't like Diablo because you look at the menu a lot, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, is this going to bring this up? Okay, this makes my guy more powerful. You aren't going to have that. It's going to be a much quicker game.
streamlined.
More
Okay.
streamlined. And
It's not the item grind.
No, not at all, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. It's a quick game.
So while this is a Switch exclusive, we don't know if it's a timed exclusive or permanent exclusive, but it is coming out on Nintendo Switch first. And that's in, I believe, in June or somewhere.
That's also in the summer as well. And that leads us to Box Boy and Box Girl.
Box Boy and Box Girl, which were 3DS games that were download only, I believe.
I never played. So
I never played them either, but they did
know
have an
of
amiibo
them.
in Japan. It did warrant an amiibo, but they are supposedly fun. They're puzzle type games to try to figure out. This time you got 2 people, two boxes you're controlling, a boy box and a girl box, and you can tell the girl box because she has the bow in her hair.
It's Pac-Man and Miss
It's
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, but circle, square.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, they are fun games. 270 levels, I think. So if you're into those puzzle
It'll keep
type
you busy.
games, yeah.
It'll keep you busy.
Oh,
Or
very much.
You'll have fun.
If you like snipper clips, maybe similar kind of thing. Oninaki from Square Enix coming out. Looks interesting. Chad's played the other games. This is from the makers of I Am Setsuna and
Lost Sphere.
Lost Sphere, yes.
But this one, rather than being a turn-based RPG like those 2 games were, appears to be more of an action RPG. And this is combining some elements, again, at least from what they've talked about in the trailer, that's going to be reminiscent of some of the DS Castlevania games, such as, I think, as Curse of the Moon.
Yes.
That as you gain souls, you gain powers from those individual souls. So you can equip them and have different abilities. So we're going to have some things that are going to be very reminiscent of that, which is really a neat thing to see.
Yeah, so that could be cool. That is coming out, I think. Did they say when that was coming out?
I don't think there was.
I don't know.
release
There's a
on
date.
that one.
But probably this year because
But
that's,
our next one, we do have a release
yes.
date on that.
And he's excited about this. He did back the Kickstarter for it. So Bloodstained Ritual of the Night coming out in summer of this year.
Which the story is very interesting, correct?
Oh, really interesting. But more so on this one, again, harkening back to Castlevania, this is being done by Koji Igarashi, which is the guy who designed and created Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And all of the succeeding games that followed that side-scrolling 2D massive castle exploration games. Since Konami has basically said that they're kind of done making games.
They're making slot machines and
they
pachinko games now.
definitely don't want to pursue making any more Castlevania games of that style. He's gone out on his own and has done the Kickstarter, and I was one of the backers for it. I am so stoked for this game, and we
3 years
finally.
ago?
It was like 3 years ago at this
3
point.
years ago.
The production time turned out to be a lot longer. I don't care. Really don't care.
Better that than rushing it like Mighty Number 9.
Not so Mighty Number 9, yes. But everything that we're seeing for this, looks gorgeous, it looks amazing, and it's finally coming out, and I couldn't be happier.
All right, moving on. We got Dead by Daylight. This is a game that's been out for a while on PCs,
About
at least
3
a couple
years.
of years. Yeah, 2-3 years. It's a heart attack-inducing game. Very stressful if you're one of these people
Survival horror.
Yeah, survival horror where you're going around level. One person is the murderer, killer, and the others are trying to start these generators to power the door to get out of this murder area. And it is terrifying, in my opinion.
Friday Night the 13th. I mean,
Yes, it's definitely in that vein.
You're right there. I personally did not like the way it graphically looked. I understand what they went for. I know it's
got a style. It's got a style.
It's stylized. I'm personally not gonna play this.
No.
It's just not my style of a game. It kind of reminded me a little bit, not really, because I know the game premise, but like Manhunt a little bit.
Okay.
From back in the day where you had to survive and everything. Do you remember that?
I haven't played that, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was back. Oh man, that.
But what it does do is it adds more variety to the Switch library, and you
You're
want
right.
that. You want that, and it helps maybe if there's a person, I love playing this, but I can't play it when I'm on my break at work. Hey, now you sell a Switch to him because he wants to buy it so he can play on his break at work where he can't bring his PC. You know?
No, you're
There
absolutely
you go.
not wrong. Just I didn't appreciate it graphically, but I will also say I did not appreciate graphically Assassin's Creed 3, which is where we're moving on. I thought it looked really choppy. I did not think it looked that crisp. And for Nintendo Direct, not that everything has to be beautiful. And even, again, I've mentioned this before, Wolfenstein was not an absolutely beautiful game on the Switch. Now, Xbox or PS4, game over. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But again, I'm surprised that Assassin's Creed 3 looked that way. Also, I mean this in the best way, who the hell wants to play Assassin's Creed 3?
Give us Black Flag.
Give us I could think of two other Assassin's Creed games that I would have liked to see versus the
Depends
remake
on the
of
price
3.
point. Depends on the price point. It does include the Liberation downloadable content or
Right.
game or whatever, but
Liberation was originally out on the PSP, and it does bring up some major plot points to the Assassin's Creed storyline. It actually sort of begins a whole other offshoot story, which they've not done as much with, but has some real tantalizing possibilities.
all right. And now moving on from that one, you got Final Fantasy VII finally getting release date, and not that far in the future. You got March 26th, which puts it within about a month.
Yep.
Not that bad.
Just a little over a month now.
Final Fantasy IX was one of those boom bomb drops that was, hey, it's there today, and you could grab onto it, and he's already downloaded it. $21, $20.99 actually on the
And
shop.
that was your Final Fantasy first
That was my
love.
first Final Fantasy. In fact, I think we talked about this literally last week, and that's my personal favorite Final Fantasy.
I liked it. It harkened back more to 6 than 7 and 8 were. 7 and 8 kind of
Sure.
were
It has a
different flavor.
neat little steampunk style
Yeah.
to it where it's like a budding civilization and airships. The story behind it, I think, is an exceptional story. While certain Final Fantasy games where it's like, sometimes you'll get lost in it a little bit, I think it really does a proper job of telling a good story. And I think the main character is probably a little bit more forgettable versus like Cloud.
Yeah, Zidane was not one of the more notable characters.
But I think the group overall with
Vivi.
Vivi, I mean, if you played Final, you know
The
who
black
Vivi
mage
is.
that looks like Orca. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
it looks more like classically, in a lot of regards, the original Black
Yeah, the
Mage
original
from the
Black
original
Mage,
Final
yes.
Fantasy games.
Very much. I think it's the group setting, whether it's Steiner, who's the knight and everything like that, and then the Princess Garnet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
She changes her name halfway through it and everything.
Dagger.
Spoilers! No.
If this is a spoiler for you, I'm sorry, but guess what? That is not. That's
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Check it out.
great game. Check it out. I'm going to be playing that later tonight, probably over a cocktail or two. So
Square Enix, though, also has Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody. Buddy. And that's March 20th, so that comes out right around the time of Final Fantasy VII. Probably more of a younger kid game, I'd say.
Definitely. It was always geared towards a younger
Yeah,
audience.
it's kind of like the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. They were the Pokemon ones, yeah. But the one I don't have on this list, I was going to switch over to because I know this guy's played it. Tetris 99, basically like a 1 versus 100 kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
you battling,
It's-
99 other people.
yeah,
or 98.
it's a lot of fun. I also think that if you give Tetris a chance, not if you play Tetris in the past, you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a fan. I don't know why.
I do, but it's stressful because it's like video games are for me
Are relaxing.
not totally completely, but more so trying to do that. Tetris, I'm like, it's almost like work to me. It feels like work. Trying to put all the pieces together and all that.
And you know what? It mentally stimulates me, and I love a good puzzle. Like I try to figure it out, and the fact that you're battling other people, it does throw another great
yeah.
element into it. So in the grand scheme of things, it's the Tetris of old with a brand new spin on it, and I think that's very interesting.
I think that is.
Because it's essentially a battle royale for Tetris.
Oh, yeah.
And not that, again, we talked about this last week, not that everything has to be battle royale, but if you want to throw a unique spin on it, I'm not going to be upset at all. So, I mean, I'm good with that.
And some people have data mined it and found there are other modes coming, team battles and such. So, you know, if you're into Tetris, it's free to download. You have to have this Nintendo Online service to play online, right?
Yep.
So there's another reason to get that Nintendo Online service, since these two were saying there wasn't enough there. There you go. There's another piece. Mr. Chad here is finally going to has a date for his My Time at Porsche, which was a big game he talked about in one of our past episodes. Where
I think it was Chad's first video.
It was.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Chad's first video with us and everything.
Yeah, and he went over that as one of his big indie picks that he's played, right?
Yes.
Big games of 2018.
And it is officially out on Steam in its final form. And I have to admit, I haven't touched it because I actually want it on the Switch.
Yep.
So as much as I love it from playing the early versions of it on Steam, it's going to remain there on Steam untouched for me right now because I want to play it in its final form on the Switch.
That's dedication, I'll tell you. You know, Hollow Knight Silksong. I have not played the Hollow Knight games, but this is their second game. It's not a Hollow Knight DLC. It's a completely separate game, but in the same kind of, let's say, universe as Hollow Knight. I guess this character appeared in Hollow Knight.
Yeah. So Silksong was a sort of an antagonistic character. Antagonist. Think of her kind of like Catwoman is in the Batman series. Sometimes she's helping, sometimes she's not.
Yeah.
And she. They've taken her now and given her her own game in a completely separate area away from the Hollow. So the trailer for it, and this of course did not actually show in the Nintendo Direct. This showed on Nintendo's website after the Direct.
Yep. On YouTube, Nintendo's channel is always worth checking out after Direct.
Really wish they had included this on the Direct though, because Hollow Knight was a huge series. Incredibly popular, well loved.
Did very well on the Switch. Very well.
And very good reason why it's well loved. It is a brutally difficult game.
It's only $15.
It is. It's expensive. It's cheap. I strongly recommend checking it out.
Get on sale,
particularly, again, if you like those Metroidvania games, play it. It is brutal difficulty, but it is a gorgeous game.
Yeah, the big killer I've always heard on it, why I've avoided is, if you die and you've gotten pretty far and recovered or discovered a lot of the map, you lose all that.
No.
Oh, no?
Well,
kind of, sort. Well, let's not go into it too much. I didn't want to go down.
You have to find the map seller in the area.
Okay, and you got to come back and tell them what you learned or changed.
Once you've bought the map,
okay.
Until you actually have gotten the map from the map seller, you don't have the map. Period.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so you don't. This isn't a make your map. This is more of a buy your map. All right.
Well, once you get it, then you start filling the areas in with
come
more
on.
specifics.
He makes you do work. No. All right. You know, incomplete maps. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
All right. Another one they showed on their channel was Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, and this is actually from
Nipponichi, or at least it's being published by Nipponichi. Okay. We don't really have a ton of information to go off on this game. The trailer for it that they showed us was pretty simple. But I'll say that this reminded me, it had a similar feel to a PlayStation game called Ico, which anyone who knows Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, any of those games knows Ico. And this is a classic, iconic early PlayStation game. And this game has very much of a similar feel, at least to how they're presenting it to Ico. You have a blind character, in this case it's the prince, versus I believe the princess. And then you have the princess actually leading the blind prince. There's a bit more to it if you haven't seen the trailer for it. I recommend going to check it out. It looks like it has a possibility to be a pretty touching story if they do it right. Play mechanics and style, how it's going to go, don't really know yet. But there's promise in this, so I'll be keeping an eye on it.
Another one we saw on their channel was Trials Rising, which is like a motorcycle stunt racing game.
Yep.
You played it?
I played earlier versions of it. Okay. I have not played the later versions of it, but I will say, in comparison to what I originally played versus now, they've done their homework. They're listening to their fans, and it really is a great physics puzzle game.
Yeah,
with the aspect of it being a motorcycle. And I know we've talked about the Trials Rising in terms of Easter eggs and everything like that.
Yes, we did talk about that.
Yeah. There is a hardcore Easter egg that happens like 100 years from now. Do yourself a favor, do a little research. If you research on Google what I just said.
It's kind of interesting.
It's pretty. I don't know how it'll exactly work, but it has a Back to the Future element to it. I'm not going to say anything more than that because it's worth you going back. As always, don't quote us.
Yeah.
But make sure you go look. I think it's well worthwhile because it's something you don't hear normally. So it's kind of cool.
Yep.
That leads us to Unravel, which is going to be the last quick game that we're going to talk about. I never played the original Unravel, but
Nor I. Because they didn't release it on a Nintendo system for some reason. I think Sony? Or
Sony.
I think it was on Xbox too.
I don't think it was on Xbox. It was
just
just
on
Sony.
PlayStation.
Just Sony.
I thought it was Xbox and Sony, but
I put
But
money
don't
that it
quote
was
us.
just
We'll
Sony.
check,
Yeah,
don't quote
I think
us.
I'm pretty sure it's just Sony. Now I know a lot of people liked Unravel, and I think it warrants an Unravel 2. And what do I love? It should be on Switch.
you got a blue guy and a red guy, and a blue Joy-Con and a red Joy-Con. You kind of see how it maybe fits. And it's a type of game, though. It is a type of game that says more Nintendo to me.
Yeah, and
than-
it's couch
than
co-op and everything. Throw another Switch Joy-Con
Sure.
to your buddy or your wife or whoever you got
Yeah,
next to
exactly.
you. And I'd say it's one of those games where it's not over daunting.
No.
So I think you're good to go with that.
Yeah.
And I will say before we jump to our last topic,
Yep.
and one of our viewers, Rhino,
Yep.
wanted us to talk about this, was the DLC for the Super Smash.
Ah, yeah.
With Joker and everything like that.
Joker,
We're going to do
yeah.
more in depth with the Super Smash episode. I did want to just highlight that they are absolutely going to keep Super Smash running. And I knew
yeah.
we knew that. It's not a big
Yeah,
surprise.
following a Splatoon type model where the
Yeah.
content's going to come trickling out, but we knew that with the DLC guys. But I think they're going to keep adding modes and such. That last patch, we didn't go over it really, but they added the features. I think you can do some of the battles against, getting the spirits with more than one person. You can do 4 people getting the spirits. That kind of stuff is great quality of life and free. And that's what I love I was great and happy with what I have for 60, and then they just go, here's some more, and I was like, oh, okay.
My only issue is, how often do you branch out to the other players? Are you still playing Bowser?
Me? Well,
That's a yes.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, when you get... Okay, I think it's like every game. Like, you get used to a certain style.
Of course.
I'm typically always Captain Falcon, or I'm Samus. Like, that's just... I may venture off. There's a few other ones.
I'll be honest. I play Captain Falcon. Yeah, I play Captain Falcon. I play Bowser. I play Link sparingly. I play Daisy.
Okay.
I do have a variety. I have like 3 or 4. Let's call it that. 3 or 4 characters that are my main.
You'll have your party, right? Yeah, the ones that you connect with and everything like that. Now, Chad, I know you're not a big Super Smash, but who do
I
you...
used to be, and I used to play as Kirby. He was my boy.
Yeah, Kirby is good. Kirby's always been good.
He's kind of like the ditto of, Nintendo almost. And I know, that, but he can be anybody and everything.
Oh, he's
really.
Jigglypuff, man.
Or Jigglypuff. But again, you suck them up, you absorb their powers, and then game
Yes.
over. Or
That's
you
what
suck
she
them
said.
up and then bring them down. Of course, thank you. You're such a dad. You're such a dad.
Yeah.
Take them all the way down, let them go, and then float on up, and you're good to go. It's interesting. Super Smash, I'm glad that it's going to keep continuing.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the 60 characters is really cool.
Well, but they've already said that this season of characters they're doing isn't necessarily the only season of characters. So there's going to be more characters that are going to show up. I mean, look at it when it was back on the Wii. How many characters got added after it came out?
After it came out, the Wii didn't have downloadable content. Wii U had.
The
Wii U version did.
My apologies, the Wii U.
And that's why they're following what they did on the Wii U. Wii U software development was great. It was just hardware sales weren't there. So they're following a lot of their design. They know what works. Mario Kart 8. Look at Mario Kart 8. I mean, but
No, and they're doing a great job of rebalancing stuff, and they're listening to the actual fan base.
and they're trying to fix the online.
Yeah, which I'm okay.
Keep working on it.
Keep working on it. I know it's going to eventually be there. I'm a pretty harsh critic. So is Chad. I want something that's going to work. And I think these games are worth it to the fan to make sure that your online service works. Because otherwise, the quality of the game will be lost a little bit. You'll have a different opinion on it versus somebody who plays online, who plays offline. They have good service, so on and so forth. That person's going to literally say flawless. While Chad and I'm like, I like Super Smash, but the only time I really play it is when I come over, and we haven't played it in a while, but in general...
Let's get back on that.
I know, we're going to have to.
And this is something that Jeremy and Steve are going to cover probably in a lot more detail in a future video.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
for now, let's move on to our last one.
Yeah, so the big bombshell at the end, not a, hey, it's coming out today, but a, hey, you didn't know we were doing this. Link's Awakening being re-released, 20 years ago? at this point?
Uh,
Even more?
93.
So wow, maybe yeah. So 20, almost 20. Well, or 25 years ago.
Sounds about right.
Wow. So what we have here is Link's Awakening being remade on the Nintendo Switch with a slightly different graphic style. They didn't copy the Link Between Worlds, which is what I had been hearing and theorizing myself. I've said it in previous videos, so go back and take a look if you don't believe me. But we do have Link's Awakening coming. I have never played this.
I have.
They both have. The graphic style that they picked, it's a little whoa. Didn't expect that. It's a little like Pikmin.
It looks a lot like Pikmin.
Like a lot like Pikmin, but what I like about it is it's not bad. It's just different than what we expected. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm not gonna go, well, it doesn't look like something I like, so I'm not gonna do it. Because one, it's not, no date's been given other than 2019, which means there's time to tweak the graphic style.
Sure.
Yeah.
And changing the main character's sprite isn't an impossible thing.
No.
If there's enough backlash online, which we all know when people don't like something online, they talk about it.
Look, even in this case here, it's not so much about changing the polygons; it's about changing the texture mappings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, it looked pretty good. It looks like a 1-to-1 copy of the original game,
Roughly,
minus the grid movement.
There's some minor changes in some of the things that we've seen, more cosmetic than anything.
Yeah.
But essentially, they've shown some scenes, and it looks like for like, almost exactly like the Game Boy game.
Yeah, and I'm hoping for. Sorry to cut you off there.
No,
but
feel
I'm
free.
hoping for a little new content. When they re-released Link to the Past, and I brought this up earlier, Link to the Past got re-released. They put on it, boom, Four Swords Adventures, and then we had this new idea, and then later you got that GameCube title, Four Swords. I don't know about the Triforce Heroes much. That was a one on the 3DS, but I want Four Swords back because that was an amazing type of game. If they put that with this, I think it'd be a really nice package for $60. Otherwise, I'd say $40. I wouldn't see this being a $60 game unless there's that little extra content there.
This will be a $60 game.
I know, but I want that extra content there. I don't just want a remake of a game, a graphic update. I want something a little extra. Give me something a little bit different, new.
I said this to you because I absolutely...
'Cause you care?
Let's go Pikachu. Let's go Eevee.
Yeah.
You went from a 2D game to almost a literal remake of the game.
Yes.
I personally loved it. It scratched that nostalgic feel, but it also made it look graphically beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at what I was looking at, but in my brain how I wanted it to look now with the color and everything.
But they did add extra stuff on that. They did have the mastering of each Pokemon. You can go and fight that Pokemon Master Trainer.
You're
got
right.
that. You have the secret characters after the credits, all that stuff.
I expect there will be some other things that will be added
Absolutely.
in. There might be some homages to maybe some of the other Zelda games that may show up as
Very
little
much.
hints and things in there. But am I expecting to see something like a Four Swords or an extra game mode, something tacked onto it? I'm not.
But the good news is I tend to be right in these things, so,
At times.
At times. I've had my times, so, Pokemon 2019 MMO. We'll see. But, does this hold good for future of the GB games? If this sells well enough, I see, and you've agreed, I think you've agreed, why not Oracle of Ages and Oracle
of the
of
Seasons.
All those games, and somehow combine those two. Don't make us buy two releases,
Well, I think they would do those as two separate releases. You
geez.
keep referring to that almost like it's Pokemon, like it's two different versions of the
I
same game.
kind of thought of it like,
No,
not.
it's not. They are
It's
two
not.
completely different worlds.
but there's crossover.
In the old original one, you used to get a code from one that you could put into the other.
Other.
And there were certain events that you couldn't... side things, not core to the game, but things that made it for a lot more fun and a lot more things you could do in there. But you had to have codes from one game to go to the other to unlock certain puzzles.
Okay.
And together, there was sort of an overarching story concept of some of the things that they were doing. But they were two completely separate games that had some interlinking components.
Well, it'll be interesting to see then when they release those, if they release one and then one at another time or release them both at the same time. Because originally they were both at the same time.
They probably would release them fairly close to one another, I would imagine. Because, they were pretty much released, I think, at the same time.
Yeah. But people might not understand if they release them at the same time that they're different games,
Correct.
That's,
They'll have to be very explicit about that, though.
They will have to.
Yeah, they'll have to go out of their way to explain that. I'm excited for this. I think that I personally like the graphic style. I'm ready to see what I saw as a kid
Yeah.
now in as I'm an adult.
And
I
don't
think
be
it's better.
thrown off of the Mario references in it. You do have Goombas, Chain Chomps.
You're going to have a lot of
stuff there.
Nintendo stuff
Yeah.
in there, but it's an oddball game, but it's a fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it
it's a
is.
fun game. It's not in the same vein as Breath of the Wild, even though it is a
No.
Zelda,
No.
but it is a much different game.
Let me ask you.
Please.
What was your biggest thing that you loved from this trailer? From this whole Nintendo Direct?
I personally liked that the graphic style went to where it was, where...
No, I meant for the whole Direct.
Oh, the whole Direct, I'm sorry.
What's the big one that got you?
Final Fantasy IX, just because I knew it was coming. Again,
Yeah,
it's my favorite game. I'm not even happy that I had to spend the $21 for it, but here's my money, take it. I know I'm going to play the hell out of it, and
Yeah,
it'll be
sure.
fine. The other side that got me was Link's Awakening. I'm cool with all the quickie games, Marvel Alliance,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be excited for. Even Super Mario Maker 2, I'll be excited for. What intrigued me the most about this Direct is what they didn't say. We have a lot of games out in the wild right now, and I knew
Right.
we talked about this at the very beginning, and this is what we're going to finish up with. If you look at the entire year out, we have games coming out almost every single month.
Almost.
Almost.
August is about the only one we don't have a big
August and
title
May?
from Nintendo.
August and May, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think we were looking.
Yeah, May didn't have
Maybe
anything,
May.
but May brings us E3, which is where I think we're gonna fill in these holes that Steve's gonna mention.
Yeah, so you have Animal Crossing, which we know it's 2019 as of
Right.
right now. We don't know when. The new Pokemon 2019.
Unless they shut down the studio and move it over development over to another studio.
I highly doubt that'll happen. You have two gigantic games that have yet to even. So chances are that's going to be your Let's Go Pikachu and your Super Smash, where
Right.
one will probably come out in mid-November, and then because Super Smash came out December 7th, if I'm not mistaken,
Maybe.
yeah,
right
yeah.
around that. So I mean,
They were only a few weeks apart.
you rushed through Let's Go,
Yes.
so you could play Super
Yes.
Smash. That's
And
how
I finished it the day before
day
Smash
before.
came out. I finished it the day before, and because I knew I had to, because I haven't really come back to it since then to do anything.
And these are all big games. Let's
Oh, yeah.
not count the indie games that just surprise the hell out of us that
Oh,
come out of
yes.
nowhere.
Yeah, E3 is going to be a big one this year because we already got a very full year that excites me. But knowing we have these three other ones and we don't know where they fit in the puzzle yet excites me even more because it's like, wow, there's at least 6 to 10 games I know in my head already I'm buying
Right.
this year.
And again, these are still just the
lot of
core
money.
Nintendo
Yeah.
titles. That's not even talking third-party developers. As Steve said, not talking about indies, of which there's going to be tons of indies constantly pouring into the store on a daily basis.
And we almost forgot to mention Astral Chain.
That's actually the one I was actually
Yeah, sorry
really.
about
okay.
that.
The
Yeah,
one I-
well, what's your big one? I mean, if that's your big one, go
That
for
was
it.
that was
Take it.
that was the one that surprised me the most. And it's not the one that I thought was the best, but it was the pleasant surprise for me because I had not heard or seen anything on it.
No one had.
And this is a new one by Platinum Games, and we all know that Platinum Games right now is still working on Bayonetta 3, but this is another team of theirs that's working on it. I'm very intrigued by what I saw on this because this looks reminiscent of Xenoblade Chronicles, but I'm getting also a feel that feels along the lines of maybe almost like Phantasy Star Online for some of the walking around aspects. But you've got some grittier dystopian society aspects to it. It looks like there's potential here. I don't know exactly how the play control is going to go. It looks like it's going to be Bayonetta, Devil May Cry sort of style. But
Yep.
just from the feel of it and just from the looks of it, I'm imagining there's going to be some RPG-esque elements to this as well. So there's a lot of possibilities. I'm very hopeful for this, but I'm not making any decisions on it until I see more.
Yeah, and I bet E3 is when
But-
we'll see more.
Yeah, and I want to see more.
My big thing was Mario Maker. I mean, I didn't play it a ton, but I loved watching people play it online. But it was fun building levels and such when
And we
when
did a
we
bit of
were
that,
into
you
it.
and I.
We did build some really evil levels. We tried to build
Yes.
some real simple ones, and it was amazing to see the diversity of players on the Wii U alone of
Mm-hmm.
people that would die from the simplest things. We tried to remember a super easy level. What happened? People would die at it, die at it, die
It's
at
actually
it.
harder in some regards to make a simple level that people aren't going to
And
die
that's one
at.
thing it taught us. How hard is it to make a level that's fair but challenging?
We're definitely going to have some don't quote us specific levels where we all
Oh,
three
sure.
make it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
don't. again, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this, and I think this will be the reason why Chad and I end up getting the online.
Hey, there we go. That's what Nintendo
But that's what
wanted to do.
Nintendo wants to do, and
Yep,
the
and
way
they're-
they started with that, I mean, okay.
They're doing a good job of it. They're releasing games that are making you going, I want to be online with this. And that's what they've needed to do because they haven't had that yet.
Need more range there. I guess Splatoon and Smash and Mario
Sure.
Kart weren't doing it for you guys, but now you got more.
But they are doing that. And again, not even just the kiddie titles, bringing us the games like Dead by Dawn. He's bringing in certainly a more adult and horror-based crowd
Yep.
that aren't going to be interested necessarily, and they still might be, but you're not going to get everyone who wants Mario Maker going, ooh, I also want to play Dead by Dawn. It's not exactly the same demographic.
Nope, you got to have that diversity, and the Switch, I think, is probably the most diverse system of the three out there right now. I think it's got the best diversity. Not counting PCs, man. No Steam. No Epic Games.
Okay, fine.
No, I think Switch is doing what they're doing, and I mean, not that anybody doesn't know if you don't watch us, we're Nintendo fans, but I mean, they are.
Well, we're just fans of good games.
I would say that, yes, and Nintendo right now is making good games.
They
So I
definitely
mean,
are.
more or less, I'm happy with the Nintendo Direct.
Yep.
Again,
Yep.
we have a busy year.
And when Apex Legends comes out, announced that E3 day and date dropped. That's what I'm making my call now on. When that happens, you heard it here first.
All I'm gonna say
don't quote
is, don't quote us. My name's Steve.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chad.
Don't forget, don't quote us, but like and subscribe to us. Thank you.
Bye.